all software comes under my purview. And that includes, of course, our quoting application, Quot-O-Matic. This is the 4th generation of our quoting engine, and as you can see on the lower right, we're on our 35th release. If you have any trouble ever accessing or using our services, you can read down below where we have the browsers that we support. Additionally, if you ever have any trouble, on the lower left, there is a technical support phone number and an email address. And if you click the email address, obviously, it will just open up an email that you can ship away over to our tech support team, and they will get you any support that you need. When you come into the application, which is accessible at quote.wordandbrown.com through a sign-in, you'll land on your dashboard. And the dashboard is where you jump off to start any kind of quoting activity. On it, you'll see any quote activity that has been processed within your account. And that includes any account that's linked by license number. So if you have multiple accounts with us, say you have an agency that you do business for, but then you also do private production, and you have those cases in 2 separate accounts for the matter of ownership of the data or ownership of the account. You'll be able to see and change back and forth between accounts right here. So if you use your license number more than once, you'll always have access to all of your different cases that you might file with us, no matter whether it's your agency or another. You can search by typing anything into the search box. It searches both quote and group names and the quote number. The quote number is located here. It is, generally speaking, what your inside sales consultant will use in order to look up a case, aside from the group name, of course. On the screen, you'll see the quote names that you've generated. Some of these are actual names that you can type in. And so you see here, for example, I used this was a great demo. The group name, and then you can see which type of quote you generated. So here you can see I ran an employee choice medical for this quote. You can see when it was last updated, and you can also see the effective date it was generated for. Statuses, completed. There's 2 other ones for queued for when you're going to actually generate the quote, and then there's processing when you're actually generating the quote and the PDF and Excel output are being generated by the system. Incomplete are any quotes that have been touched on the inside but have not been rerun on Quot-O-Matic. So while you may have collaborated with your inside sales consultant on the quote, if they have touched it, it will actually be marked incomplete on the website. The export functionality allows you to both view and send out to any email address the quotes that you have previously generated. So here we've got Excel, PDF output, and then the ability to email it. Down on the lower left, you can review any group level data. So for example, if I want to define Perfection Inc., I can see it right here under the group name. I can view all of the quotes that were associated with it and their statuses, what I ran, the date that I ran it, and even retrieve the output. You can also maintain a master census, which of course we're going to be expanding a bit for some CRM functionality. This is your master census for your group. It is the living census for the group. It is where we are going to start pushing and pulling data from online enrollment, for example. It's based on the most recent data from a quote if you've marked that you want the master census updated. So if you want to jump off into quoting, you have a few options. You can create a new quote here, or you can pick up an existing quote. So if you've worked in tandem, again, with our inside sales consultant and they've entered in all your data and perhaps even run for you a summary quote, you can literally walk into the quote and pick it up anywhere along the way just by clicking on the quote name or the group name. You can then say yes to edit the quote or no to actually create a copy of the quote. I'm going to go ahead and take this quote and roll it to a future effective date. To make sure that I'm going to get the carriers that I want, I'll view the carriers. And it looks like I'm going to miss California Choice, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. California Choice, by the way, should be turned on today for our quoting website. Group name is an SIC code, or our intelligent fields. If I want to start a new quote and I start to type in a case that I previously quoted on Word & Brown's website or within our internal quoting engine, you can actually pull in all that old data just by typing in the name of the group. Our zip code is sensitive to multi-county zips. So if you find that your zip is located in more than one county, you'll be given the option to select the right county. It's very critical that you make the correct choice because it will affect rates. SIC code can be accessed by typing in one of our words, like here, insurance agents or brokers, and also the 4-digit SIC code itself. Here, if you have multiple agencies associated with your license number, you'll see them all in a drop-down, and you can assign the quote that you're generating to one or the other agency. This field helps you identify which carriers would accept your case based on its demographics for union carve-out status. So if you're operating a union carve-out where the union members have their own plan, but you're trying to offer coverage to the non-union members, then you can run that on our site, and you'll be assured that based on all of the programming that we've done, that only carriers that would accept your case are going to be quoted. You'll want to be very careful about that because a lot of times that's based on group size, and if your group falls under the size at the time of enrollment, it is possible that your case could be declined. But everything should be accurate at the moment that we're quoting it, as long as you put in the right data. And that is a guarantee that we offer that nobody else does. Once you've got your group data correct, you can click Next, go into your census data. This is where you can update your master census. So if I've changed anything about an employee, let's just say I'll change this guy's date of birth. I can update my master census. And my master census has been completely updated with that new information. I'm going to go back into the census and show you just a little bit more. You can also export the census data, so you're never stuck in our system. You can take the data and use it for online enrollment, for example. You can import census data. We have a census template that is available for use for that purpose. It's very easy to copy and paste data into our census template. The thing that you have to be aware of is that you have to get the numbering right on members versus dependents. So the first page is a series of instructions on how to use the template, and then the second page is the template itself. The employee ID and the covered member key are the two areas that you need to pay closest attention to. So first and last name are easy, zip code's easy, straightforward, date of birth is straightforward. The covered member key is over here where you have employee, spouse, or other dependents. And then the employee ID is used to link one or more members to one another. So if you have an employee and spouse, they would both be the employee number of the employee. You can take that Excel file, drag it, and drop it into the screen, and it will import it in a matter of seconds or provide you with a list of what went wrong. If you're adding data or if you've imported data, you can see employees with incomplete data by clicking on the button here. Also, employees who may be potentially problematic or have a concern that you should address will be highlighted yellow. Here, my employee is over 65 and may be eligible for a senior care product. Again, here you have multi-county zip sensitive fields. So if you find your employees in more than one county, again here, this is really only going to affect some carriers' plan eligibility and only on a very rare occasion. So you'll want to make sure that you choose the right county for that employee. You can add spouses and dependents as long as you'd like. Obviously, there's only one spouse and as many dependents as necessary. And you can also collapse the view so that you see only employee information and you can pop out dependent information one at a time. Once you've got your census how you like it, you click Next, and you're taken to the place where all quoting begins. I'm going to go ahead and remove my previously quoted data so I can walk you through the process. We quote medical, dental, vision, and life on our website. I'm going to go ahead and jump you into medical first. Predicated on our 30 years of experience in quoting, we started the first quote in the state of California that aggregated all the 34 carriers at the time onto a single proposal output. That quote exists today as our summary format quote, and you can see an example in our PDF output right here. It's a little PowerPoint presentation that I put together that shows you each page and what it was intended to be used for, and whether or not it is automatically included or an option for you to select. Summary quote quotes everything in the market. It's everything your group is eligible for that we're quoting at the time. So for example, because I'm quoting 8.1, CalChoice won't be there, but every other carrier will. A custom quote evolved out of the emergence into the marketplace of dual option, the old standard of having an HMO and a PPO option per group, so 2 plans. But really custom quoting is just a means for you to get access to additional data elements for any plan. So you get additional benefit details and additional rate details. So if you're looking for a rate breakdown on a particular employee for a particular plan or a series of plans, you're going to want to do a custom quote. Employee choice is actually, when I started out in field sales, employee choice quotes are what I always ran because it was my goal to get the least amount of paperwork in front of the customer to make my suggested, my plan suggestion. And I did that by placing a current policy next to a renewal policy, potentially if one was available, next to a marketplace alternative. Depending on the problem that you're trying to solve, the employee choice quote is a very powerful way to present options to an employer in a succinct format, because nobody wants to review 300 pages. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into an employee choice quote because you can get all of the elements of custom and summary in an employee choice quote as well. In an employee choice quote, I can add current and renewal. So this quote was already generated with these, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave them as 6/1/15 and 6/1/16. They can be any effective date range you'd like. So if you have a short plan year or a long plan year, you can have that included inside of the application, no problem. So I've got a Blue Shield current and renewal. I'm going to go ahead and quote Aetna along with it. I'm going to pull out these other networks because I simply don't need them for my purpose. And I'm also going to quote a United. And at the same time, because I just want to be very clear, if you don't see a particular carrier that you're interested in quoting, it could be the effective date. So if you don't see it, you can see here why the carrier is not included in your quote. If you click Next after selecting your networks, you'll be taken to the plan selection screen. Now this quote is already populated because I've already quoted these plans previously. And I'm going to show you how I would go about quoting my United Healthcare plan so that you get a for instance. There's a lot of very powerful tools on this page that were born of my experience in the field. The first and most simple was the ability to display in annualized figures for a CFO, because I actually encountered a CFO out in the field and he said, hey, give me the annualized figures. And I spent a few hours actually going through a proposal and multiplying everything times 12. So now we do that on the screen. You can immediately jump into annualized figures. And of course, I don't suggest you show a business owner that, but the CFO was adamant that that's how he'd be shown the information that I was presenting to him. So we give you an option, just in case you encounter one of those in your travels. Up at the top, you've got packages for current renewal, the Aetna package that I had originally quoted, and the United Healthcare package that I'm going to quote for you. And down at the bottom, you have all of the plans. So current, renewal, and here's the United Healthcare, and then down below that would be the Aetna package. And then the plans that are associated. Everything's filtered by the filters that you applied as far as the networks are concerned on the previous screen. So for example, okay. And you can always go in there and change it. So if you decide that you want to quote one of those smaller network plans, you can actually go in and add it and then add it to your quote. Not a problem. If you know the name of a plan you want to quote, you can search for it. And also some of the plan parameters can be searched here. So if, for example, anything that's inside of the long plan name, you can actually search up in this field. So for example, we have people ask about HSA, right? If you want to find all the plans in your product set that are HSA compatible, you can just type in the letters HSA and you'll see those plans. And actually for my United, I'm going to go ahead and select one of those. You can filter your plan selections. So you see there that I chose the Choice Simplified package. So I'm going to go ahead and select Choice Simplified going forward. And pull out my HSA. My plans are reordered, and I'm back on the screen. Okay. So now from within the Choice Simplified, you can sort by anything with a double caret. So I generally, because I'm looking for premium advantages, I look at that column, so I sort everything by that column just to start. And then I just look by premium. It's a good place to start if you don't have a real deep understanding of how the plans compare to one another and you're doing this autonomously. Keep in mind that you always have access to our core team of professionals who do know these plans and are very thoroughly trained on them. To move plans up, so I'm pretty particular, and it's advantageous for you to actually go through and align the plans in their comparability by row. And you can see here I haven't really done a very good job. Thank goodness for this being a demo rather than an actual scenario. But I'll be able to show you how those plans compare to one another in just a moment. PPO. So I'm going to keep moving these plans up so that they're all aligned. $1,600 PPO. And of course, this gives you the opportunity to go through and check things, various details. And if you don't want to do that down here, again, I'll show you how to check the comparability across the whole row of plans. So now I've got some plans selected in my United Healthcare package. And now I can see if I've actually made the grade. And there's a few ways for you to do that. Right off, if you've aligned your plans in a row, you see over here there's a little compare button. If I click on that, it will pop up on the screen a side-by-side of the plan, and it will highlight the plan differences. So obviously my Aetna one is probably not going to be a good choice. Whereas if I'm really looking for a cost savings, things like increasing my deductible do give me that opportunity. And of course, if I really am astute with the client, I might be able to convince them that double their out-of-pocket maximum with a $1,000 deductible is a good way for them to go to save some money, if that's their primary concern. Of course, you'll come armed with all of their primary concerns when you actually come to renewal. And if it's just premium, then premium wins. And of course, if you're just trying to make a case to renew the existing policy, even with the increase that they've received, then obviously you can leverage the system to substantiate that increase as valid. You can download in the Excel and PDF or email straight from here. So if you're looking for a particular person, you want to show them exactly what their plan options are based on their current enrollment, you can actually go through and create really great illustrations of that. So if I come here and I say, hey, look, this person that I'm trying to convince to buy a different plan is on the Platinum 25, and I want to show how that compares to some different plan options. And available to them. So here's the renewal plan. The first plan you pick in the compare column is the plan to which all the other selections are compared. So as I come down, I can just select a few different plans. There's no limit on what you select here, so you can select as many plans as you'd like to see compared, and it will just scroll to the left, or scroll to the right rather. When you're done, you click on top and hit compare up here, and again the same side-by-side comparison will be presented on the screen for you, again highlighting the benefit differences. So if you're doing a lot of education, especially during this fourth quarter season when we're transferring a lot of clients from one policy to another, it's a very powerful way to illustrate the differences. Where you're not responsible for explaining all of the details, you can just hand that over as a piece of paper and say, hey, these are the changes, take a look, and make sure you make the right selection for you. When you've got your plan selected and aligned, you have options to add an employer contribution. So you see here I've added 50% of the Platinum 25 and 50% of, well, my first HMO plan. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. I can go in and I can say 50% of an employer selected plan and do the G3050. If I hadn't selected that plan, in my package, it would be added once I selected it there. So if you start with your employer contribution, your based on plan, it'll automatically add that plan to your package for you. Once you've got everything set on this page the way you'd like it, you can click Next, and you go to what used to be the bane of my existence, plan assignment. And that was because back in the day when I was using another quote engine to generate my proposals, I was actually having to go through and assign a plan to every employee for every package. So if I quoted 10 packages and I had 10 employees, that's 100 clicks in order to actually assign plans. So we've taken great pains to make that a lot easier on you. First and foremost, you have a default plan. So you can choose the plan that everyone is mostly on. Okay. So here, the Platinum 25 is the based on plan. That's usually what people select. And now I'm going to just select my outliers. If I start on the left, based on my plan alignment on the last page, all of the plans to the right will be reassigned. So if I select the second HMO plan, what you'll see is that my second HMO plan all the way across is selected for the employee. And I can do the same for the PPO plan. And I can do the same for the HSA plan. And the same thing will be true. All the way across the page, it will get selected. Now I can go down to the bottom, and I can see whether or not I've actually made the grade as far as finding a cost savings. So I can see comparatively whether or not I've saved them money or I've increased their premium, and by how much. It includes the breakdown between employer and employee costs. Once you've found you've made the grade, you can click Next, and you'll be taken back to the Quote Builder page. On the Quote Builder page, of course, you can add dental, vision, and life. So I'm just going to go ahead and add dental. Vision and life are very, very similar. They all have summary and custom formats. In a custom format, remember, all you do is pick certain plans that you want to include rather than have a whole slew of plans. If you run a custom quote, you can get summary pages, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So here you can choose your dental carriers that you want to include, and again, you can see the list of excluded carriers and why. So everything in our system is saved. If you've ever run a quote, you'll actually see the plan selections. When you re-add that quote type, you'll see the plan selections that you've previously generated on. So here I've previously run this quote with Blue Shield and Health Net as my DHMO DPPO combination. I'm just going to go ahead and leave those. However, I will show you that if I add a subsequent plan, all it does is put it up here into my selected package. Again, here on this screen, I have the ability to create comparative illustrations of the differences between plans, including highlighting the benefit differences. as an educational tool piece for the employer or employee. And then, of course, you get a summary of the benefits down the left. And then remember, any double caret you can sort by. So if you're really focused on cleanings or molar root canals, etc., you can sort the whole list by that benefit to see what the nuanced differences are between the plans. You can always add a carrier, by the way, on these screens. So whenever you're in plan selection, there's always a gold button at the top to add a carrier. Vision and life are very similar. You select a carrier, you select the plan. Life is you select an amount because we quote flat term life on our website. Once you're done generating your proposal types, you're going to click Next, and that's going to take you to the output page. You can name your quote so that you can find it later. And then you can choose your quote output options. So, for example, we've got several different types of reports. We have an Excel spreadsheet, and we also generate that in multiple languages. So you can generate that in any of these languages. It doesn't generate the core benefit details, so like $5 copay doesn't get generated, but that it's a doctor's visit will be translated into these different languages for you. And that includes employee enrollment worksheets, which you can generate here. If you choose to, you can actually generate enrollment worksheets for each employee individually and in different languages. Inside of the Excel, there's various pages. You don't get to choose which pages. They all just come. They're highly manipulatable. You can actually go through and pull data out of them, copy and paste. There's really only one merge field at the top of any of our Excel pages, so it makes it very simple to do that. And we do have brokers who are trying to differentiate themselves in the marketplace, and they're taking our Excel content and putting it into a pre-formatted Excel template that makes them really stand out. One of my brokers does really neat calculations off of our data to show her clients some things, some insights that she's built in through calculation. It's very, very fantastic stuff. Again, here you can generate your enrollment worksheets. Inside of the enrollment worksheet generation in Excel, you get a lot of choices. So you can include the current and highlight the difference between the plans, and then you can choose which carrier or which package even you want to show. So if I just want to do a current and renewal because I'm going to renew the case, you can do that straight off of our system, no problem. And it gives your employees that highlighted benefit difference that allows them to really understand the changes that are being made on the plans that are available for their selection. You can choose whether you put that in portrait or landscape format and which types of premiums you display, net or gross, and whether or not you display the actual employer's contribution. Some people like to keep that private. Our PDF output, we show you a sample of every page so that you can see it. Once you get used to what our pages look like, it will become second nature for you to come in here and select the pages that you want. We have a few side-by-sides. For example, one shows all plans in a single carrier package side-by-side, and one shows plans by comparability side-by-side. And of course, our carrier-specific requirements are our underwriting guidelines. You get pages for each plan type that you quote. So here, medical and then dental summary output is included. I also can get details because I quoted a custom proposal. And again, by the way, you can get all of the summary pages on the medical as well. They come up for your selection. You can quote Choice Administrators products straight from our website. These are the actual Choice Administrators output. So this is not integrated within our output. This is their own. If they've turned on quoting for a specific effective date, you can generate the proposal by clicking the checkbox and clicking Send. In this case, I'll receive 4 emails. I'll receive one for my Excel, one for my PDF, one for CalChoice, the initial quote, and one for Choice Builder, the initial quote. If I'm doing a series of quotes in a row, which happens often on our website, what you'll see down here on the lower right are little notifications as your quote progresses through the process of being generated. So even if I'm on into the next quote and I'm generating another proposal and I'm on my census page adding employees, I'll see now that my quote has completed processing. And in another minute or so, what I'll see is that I can actually see and download the actual output. So right here, I can go and click and go straight into the output that I generated and download it straight from the screen. So you don't have to go to your email. You don't have to go back to the dashboard in order to get to your output. It'll be available on those little pop-ups. Here's our Excel output. It shows you the different packages that you quoted, the percent differences between the packages, as well as giving you the monthly and annualized costs for those packages. It's comprised of a series of pages that get into greater and greater depth of detail. So we start you out with a medical summary, which shows the employee's cost, dependent cost, and total broken down by the employer contribution and the employee contribution versus the total cost. And we show you where employees were enrolled and what those costs are. Then we go into a little bit of benefit detail. We show you where plans compare to one another based on your alignment and also on plan assignment. So here I've got the $25 HMO comparison between the 4 plans that I had placed in that top row. Everything's based on the current plan, or I'm sorry, based on the renewal plan, and then it is compared to the other plans that were provided. Same thing here, although this one includes the rates down at the bottom for anybody who was assigned to the plan. And we do that for all the different plans that you quoted in the renewal package. This plan is very similar to our net cost illustration. It shows the breakdown of the costs in detail for each employee for the total employee and dependent costs, and against employer and employee contribution. So if you're looking for payroll deductions, this would be a great place for you to generate. The enrollment worksheets come out of the system. Like I said, everything can be translated individually, translates the benefit details, leaves these details intact in English, and it shows you the rates. Now, if you read Chinese, you would understand that this employee has some really good plan options. Or if you read, looks like this is Korean, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And then, of course, there's always English. We show the employees which plans their options are. So this happens to be the employee's selected renewal plan or assigned renewal plan. We show you a side-by-side of the benefits. So this is what I was talking about as far as the ease of use. You could literally pull out, copy, and paste this content into another Excel spreadsheet and use it for whatever you'd like. So we have brokers who are creating wrappers. They'll take the first 5 or 6 lines and do a nice header with their own logo, with their own colors, and then literally copy and paste our content into their wrapper. So we do benefits side by side. We tell you where the deductible applies on the plans. And then we do rates side by side, showing you where the employee was assigned a plan and even the rates where the employee wasn't, because we want to cover that case where you get out and you find that the employer says, hey, look, now this employee wants the HMO plan. You need that rate. We've given it to you in our Excel output. We also give you details on your dental plans. So we give you the benefit details, and then we also give you the rate details based on your proposal input. And that's broken down by DHMO and DPPO, so you can see exactly what the differences are, both for in-network and out-of-network. By the time you're done reviewing your Excel, your PDF output is going to be here. Our PDF output is laid out in page order, so whatever pages you select, they will always be in the same order. We start you with probably the easiest page to sell from, and this is what I would most often place in front of an employer. It shows the cost differences between the different packages that I've quoted. So if I'd made a good case, I could say, hey, look, this is your current, this is what you'll be renewing with, and well, you've got a really good rate option with Aetna. And if you really are trying to find a cost decrease, this is a really good option because the plans are comparable. Let me show you the detail on the plan comparability, especially if you're trying to build client with a trust with a client. This is a really great way to do that. You can start with the high-level detail of pricing and then work your way into greater detail. So this is, greater detail on a particular employee. So if there's some concern about one employee's affordability or another employee's plan options, you can always drop into a higher level of detail as you progress. So side by side that shows the benefit details of the plan side by side to one another. That's always followed by rate details side by side as well. So here we give you the rate details. And again, benefit details, rate details. There's also pages for detailed employee rates. So if you want to ever see the breakdown inside of the PDF of what the detailed costs are, we have those pages too. There's basically a page for just about anything inside of our output. It's evolved as we've evolved our quote over the 30 years that we've been doing this. And it's really got just an innumerable number of ways for you to go out and present to a client. Less is more in this regard, so if you're brand new to quoting, I always try to reduce the amount of data that I take to a client. You might take one of our large, thick bound proposals and say, hey, this is something for you to just kind of file as I did my homework, and these are the pages, and I would generally pull out just a couple of pages for them to actually take a look at based on my homework. And that homework might include, hey, look, I had all of your providers looked up. Word & Brown will look up your providers and your prescriptions to make sure that they're covered, by the way. And I've looked at your providers, I've looked at your prescriptions, I've looked at your current and renewal options, I've looked at your marketplace alternatives, and really, I think that X is the way for you to go. And employers will appreciate that you've done all the homework that's needed in order to provide that kind of expert guidance to them. Differences, I often get asked the differences between the Excel and the PDF output. Essentially, the PDF output is print ready and go, you print it and go. Our Excel output is more manipulable. If you're looking to add a logo, if you're looking to change colors, and you have the expertise and time to operate Excel, the Excel output is really a great way for you to create a differentiated proposal for you, so that you're really presenting something that is your very own. And of course, when you generate your proposals, because you put in an email address, everything gets sent to your email. So you'll always have a copy and a record of what it was that you generated when you generated it. And if you ever need to go back and look for it, obviously you can go into your mail client and search, and it will pull it up. If you search by group name, you'll see all the quotes that you've generated. And that's it for today. I don't have anything more for you. If you have any questions about our proposal, how to operate it, how to get what you need, if you want to run through a case together, please don't hesitate to reach out. You'll get an email from me in follow-up to this webinar. Be happy to schedule one-on-one demonstrations or anything else that you need in order to make sure that you're successful. Word & Brown is very interested in you being successful, and we're very interested in arming you with the right tools. So if there's ever anything that we can do for you, please do not hesitate to reach out. And with that, I will bid you all good day. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate your taking the time and joining me today. I hope you've gotten something out of this presentation, and I'll look forward to connecting with you in the near future.